Whoa, what happened?
I don't know. It's just being a jerk.
Okay, I hit run countdown, so it's going.
Oh, that's it. Right. Okay. Where are we?
Hello.
Oh, where'd you go? You're like this tiny little thing in the corner.
I'm okay with that.
Did you do that on purpose?
No, I didn't.
Let me see. There we go. I was like, why are you so far away? Oh, nice. Too bad it's backwards.
I had to find out how to turn that. So
No,
how did you
all got to learn how to read backwards. I'm sorry.
We'll turn around and read it.
Turn around, bright eyes. Hello.
So how are you tonight?
Wow, that's personal and really none of your business, but thanks for asking.
Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah, no. So good. We accepted a deal today. So it should be all finalized tomorrow, and we should be through due diligence January 19th.
Nice.
So we make it past the 19th. We are officially in business, and welcome to Sidekicks Paranormal. I am Mike G, aka Junk McGee, and I am here with the psychic extraordinaire,
Mary Lynn.
Mary Lynn Bast.
Bast, yes. So I got new contacts, so I'm kind of, my eyes are messing with me tonight.
So speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about this photo. This photo that was used by Karen Huntley.
Yes.
What's going on there?
That one was through a photo app that I was playing with, and it's like, yes, I wished I could look like that.
I just wonder how many people are gonna get there and be like, "Where is she?"
Right? I'll just have to walk around like this.
Right, just so people know. Melissa, hello. Welcome to Psychic Paranormal. So today's show is going to be a pretty crazy, pretty interesting one. We really want to kind of dig in a little bit into hexes, curses, witches, sandwiches. We're just going to kind of see
what... sandwich in mind?
You know, right now,
peanut butter and jelly kind?
The meatball sub has been my sandwich of choice as of late.
Oh, okay.
However, I would say nightly I have at least one peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Now, how did I know that?
You have ESPN.
I don't think you've ever mentioned that.
Did I eat peanut butter and jellies?
Mm-hmm.
I do. I like my PB&Js. I also like jelly and butter.
Jelly and butter. You know, I have tasted that only if it's good on toast.
I've never had it toasted.
Yeah, put it on toast. It's really good that way.
Oh, okay. Before you toast it or after you toast it?
Before you toast it and then put it on there.
Oh, you can't like put it on, fold it, cram it, toaster.
I doubt that unless you wanna get electrocuted.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Unless you have a
Charity.
toaster oven, you can lay it in there.
It's true. That's toaster ovens are genius.
Yes,
Charity is on. I haven't seen Charity in a while. It's
it's been a while.
always Michelle. So it's good to see that Charity is in. We hope you are doing well. Hello, Patrick. Yeah, we do have to figure out how she can turn the mirror so we can read it. But I do like the fact that the goat is prominent. That is Screamy the goat. That's our
Yes.
mascot behind us. For those
So
of
for
you who
some
don't know.
reason, I'm not seeing the chat go through.
Oh, well, hold on. I thought you don't see that
Okay, I
now?
got it. I just opened it up on the side.
Okay, good. I see it. I see the chat. I see it. Okay, so we're going to talk today about hexes. We're going to talk today about curses. We're going to talk today about contacts that are new. We're going to talk today about witches, witchcraft in general, because I think as a paranormal investigator, these are things that I would say, you're more than likely to run across.
Absolutely. Bless you.
Excuse me. Hello, Gladys. So you are more than likely, as a paranormal investigator, to run into not only. I think the intention is always to start off with, I'm going to go and I'm going to find a ghost, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think those in the industry, at least that begin in the industry, understand.
Give another shot.
I don't think they understand how quickly that line can divide.
Yes.
Right? Because all of a sudden now you could be dealing with things like entities, elementals. You could be dealing with poltergeists. You could be dealing with demons. You could be dealing with just somebody's own psychosis that could be manifesting. Right?
Yes.
I mean, these are things that you can deal with. And then on top of that, you could be dealing with, well, why is this ghost here? Is it a curse? Could somebody have been hexed? Could a person who's seeing things be under voodoo? Right? I mean, these are all things. So I mean, there's so much more than taking an EVP into a haunted house and saying, can you kick me in the balls to prove that you're there?
Right.
There's a lot that can go into just the initial investigation before you even set foot in an actual location, if you wanted to do it right.
But that's where you look at too, is when you go to these places, like if you were to go over to Ireland, Scotland, Germany, or whatever, whenever you're looking at these different places, you go over there speaking English. Are they going to be able to understand you?
Right.
So there's all those kind of questions too. It's like go down to Mexico or, go to Africa or wherever you want to go. And what are the different
in
religions?
Africa, they actually bless the rains.
They do.
Yeah.
Down in Africa, they do.
They do. Per toto. Annie, hello. So today, those that are just tuning in, today's conversation is going to be centered around learning about hexes, curses, and witchcraft, voodoo, things like that you may come across during a paranormal investigation. And these are things, at least from my novice point of view, that are heavily overlooked, right? When you pop in, you're talking about, yes, definitely. Okay, yes. So, so you've done a little bit of research. You've done a little bit of a dive into, where would you like to start? Would you like to start with witches and witchcraft?
Well, yeah, I've done a little research and it's something. So for me, growing up, I do not have any kind of special religion that I actually work out of. So I have a mixture of whatever works for me. So some of it is witchcraft, some of it is, I'd say, voodoo, some of it is ritualistic. So I really don't have a label for what I do. It's just whatever comes naturally for me. So looking up just the witchcraft,
But
I didn't realize. Go ahead.
would you say that it's all basically rooted in some form of higher power? I mean,
Yes. And I think, it's just what are your beliefs and how do you get there and how do you think about it? So, yeah, just looking at the witches and just the different types, uh, they have the coven based witch, and that they operate as part of a wider group of witches. Led by the high priestess, and they combine their magical powers and skills to create stronger, bigger spells and manifest outcomes for the group and beyond. Covens focus more on the ceremonial and ritualistic magic.
I
And
think
I
it's
would love to
more
have, people in the
institutionalized.
comments to see, what do they do? What do they practice?
Yeah, I think that's great because I think you can get people out there that are very witch oriented. Um,
Yes.
and I think I've talked to a lot of people that have said to be, claimed to be, are, pick your verbiage, witches. Now, what's
Right.
interesting about that is I don't know that I've met any that say, "Hey, I come from a coven," right? And a
Right.
coven is basically I guess, a modern day definition would
A
be like a
gang.
sorority. Yeah, a sorority.
Pretty much, yes. And it's anytime you get 3 or more people, you can be considered a coven, and that's something if you get together and just practicing, and you're not necessarily doing ceremonies and stuff like that, but just talking and practicing and working with each other, you're pretty much a coven there. But I would love to hear if somebody in the group, in the chat, if they're part of a coven, what do they do? It's
Or have you had any run-ins? You know what I mean? Have you
right,
actually talked to, had a run-in with a coven? I think they would be more. I assume they'd be more common in places like Europe, or maybe more um, northeast.
Vegas has covens there, so they get together. They do rituals and all that stuff around the area. So you have them everywhere. They're just not as prominent in some places.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying is where would they be the most prominent?
That's a good question.
Right? Yeah, I would like, for example, we could say that something like voodoo is probably most prominent at least in America, would be Louisiana.
Yes.
So I wonder what that would be for something like a witch. Like
So
obviously
have
Massachusetts had the Salem witch trials, and there was a whole thing there, but um, is that a prime location? I don't know.
right. Well,
Maybe
I
they
would
all meet
think
in
too
Montana.
because it kind of originated there. Maybe Salem is one of the hot spots to go to. And I would think kind of the bigger cities where you have the different people who have their different areas, they probably gather in the bigger cities.
Oh, this is interesting. Danette, I hope I said that right, says her sister belongs to a coven, and they're from Ohio.
Okay.
And that's interesting. So that's like what would upper Midwest-ish kind of.
Right.
I don't, I don't quite know where you call it, but I've been to Ohio, and I know there's a lot of Amish in Ohio,
Yes.
right? Let's see. Oh, and Krista says my parents were Wiccan growing up. They did weird stuff and gathered for rituals at the house. And I'll share this slide with her now and see if she comes. That'd be great. That'd be great. We'd love to converse.
Yeah, that would be cool. So have you ever, because you mentioned voodoo, have you ever heard of hoodoo? You have?
You do, yeah. You do.
Oh,
Remind
okay.
me. Yeah. But how's it
Yeah,
go?
because what is
Voodoo,
hoodoo?
voodoo, voodoo. Remind me of the
Hoodoo.
babe.
They cast spells and
You remind me of
hypnotize
the
other
babe. What
people with
babe? Gave you the power. What power? The power of voodoo. Hoodoo, you do. Remind me of the babe.
right.
That is what I know hoodoo from. That's it.
Okay, so
And that's
hoodoo
the
is
Ohio
another
one.
form. It's more of the Southern tradition for the United States, from what I gathered. I had heard that it's kind of a form of voodoo, but the hoodoo is more Americanized.
Really?
So it's kind of
Like
the same thing.
So it's like voodoo only with like McDonald's involved.
Pretty much.
Like, okay, so instead of like a chicken, slaughtering a chicken, they would use a chicken nugget.
Yes, just go get the chicken nugget from McDonald's and they're good to go.
Like
It's
cut it
easier
open
that way
and
and less mess.
drown it in sweet and sour.
There you go. So the other type of witch, I'm seeing the solitary witch. And those are the ones who work alone under their own steam rather than with a group or other witches. And a solitary witch can follow one particular branch of witchcraft or multiple. So they're not stuck, kind of like me, I guess. I'm more of the solitary witch, is what I would say.
And Gladys said, "Hoodoo is not a religion; it is a folk magical practice." Well, is voodoo like a folk? It's not a religion, is it? Is voodoo a religion? Like this is great. I actually
So,
don't know. Or is that
so
more folk?
I've kind of heard them referred to as a type of a religion, but not necessarily a religion. So there's just it's different versions from different people.
It's
And
not
like I said, I
religion; it's
don't claim to
religious.
be an expert at this. I just whatever
Now,
I'm reading.
for anybody that is watching this that wants to go deeper into that voodoo and hoodoo rabbit hole, when we do our show, when we do our TV show, we plan on doing a whole set of, I guess, heavily produced podcast episodes to go along with those shows. And in one of those shows, we will have someone on that specializes in voodoo, which will be really awesome.
Yes.
So
And
keep
we've
tabs.
got voodoo, and then we're looking at demonologists, all the different types of people, just having them on. And they're the
Wow.
professionals. And those are the ones, yes, I'm a psychic, but I don't know all the different professions. I don't know all the different ritualistics and all that. So it's
And
something that,
that's what's cool. We're learning, right? We're learning.
yes. And that's
Got
why,
it. Thank you. Voodoo is a religion, she says.
so yes, voodoo is a religion. Okay. And after yes, it is a African tradition. And then I also heard it was Hindu as well.
Speaking of tradition,
I didn't get mine.
it's like you've
Patrick,
never done this show before.
because we were having problems with the microphone.
And also, speaking of voodoo, so I'm drinking rum. This is bamboo, which is from the Caribbean islands. Now, I don't know if it's from the West Indies, which I mean, I know that voodoo is big in Haiti, so I would assume in other parts of the Caribbean, you would have
Yeah,
some
I
voodoo.
said Hindu. It's Haiti. See, I don't even know.
Yeah, Haiti, it's Haitian. Yeah, definitely.
Haitian, yes.
Yes, Haitian.
I'm bad with all of that too. Is like history. I'm not good at the geology and locations. I have to look at maps to know where we're at.
Geography.
Geography. See, yeah, it's been a long day.
Okay. That's good. And okay, so let's get on to what West Indies have another set of practices. I wonder what that would be called. I wonder what that's called. It's probably called Nunya. Nunya business.
Nunya. So I will actually look that up.
Well, yeah, let's do it. While we wait for Pat.
He's getting it.
Okay, good. You have a West Indian friend who practices, but I can't remember what she said it is. Well, what help are you, Michelle? Way to come in here and stir it all up.
So the West Indies is actually Hinduism, is the leading single religion in the Indo-Caribbean communities. And look what we have.
Hey, all right, speaking
Cheers.
of Deadwood Brothel, rest, ride, repeat, buddy. Woo!
And what is mine? This one, I can't.
Mine was spill, drink, repeat.
Yes.
Mary's this hair of dog again.
I have to get you guys a bottle of this bamboo when we get down there. It has this beautiful banana aftertaste that is just awesome.
Okay.
Like plantainy. So that answers that. So let's get back to solitary witches. So what's interesting about a solitary witch, would having the access to a coven make a witch more powerful? In other words, is a solitary witch basically putting themselves in a box?
In a box. Somewhat is from what I see. For me, it's doing things on my own, what I've learned. Whenever I get around other people who have abilities, we all accelerate and it seems like it magnifies. So, being in a coven will actually help with that when you're by yourself. For me, I can't be with a lot of people that have those high energies all the time because it literally energy vampires.
Gotcha.
So, I'll feel like I just need to go pass out and not
Gotcha.
because of the shot.
And not because of the shot. Yeah.
Right? But it's
So,
for me, and it could affect other people differently. Some people can go, and it's not a problem. For me, I can go 8 to 10 hours around other people, but after that, I have to separate to be able to kind of ground myself again.
so this is a good question. Maybe not so much from the witch, and this may apply to that too, but from a psychic point of view. So my experience, and I, again, for anybody watching, it's not a lot, okay? But when I seem to get around multiple psychics, it gets really awkward.
It gets
I
what?
awkward.
Awkward. Okay.
I feel tension. Like every time there's more than one, it's just the tension just is instantly there, and it gets awkward. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that is because multiple psychics tend to. I, it's tough, okay, because I feel like you have legitimate psychics who have this ability, and then I feel like you have people that maybe don't so much,
Right.
but want the attention of having those abilities.
Yes.
And I feel like it creates a situation that is uncomfortable for somebody with tiny nipples like myself.
So Michelle is asking, how did you feel in Deadwood? I know we had quite a few gifted folks there.
It was awkward.
So
I felt
for
great
me,
at times, but then when certain other people, and they shall remain nameless, when certain other people entered into the conversation or room, it got weird. I mean,
yeah.
the energies got weird and uncomfortable, and I didn't like it.
So what I can tell you on that, my experience is when you come into a room and you have a bunch of people who have the gifts, we block. And it's something that we put up our defenses, and we're also reading other people and see, are they real? Are they just wannabe? Or, what do they have? And that's where you can normally spot people that, or I can, with that have the abilities, but I keep myself blocked most of the time. Whenever I open up, then I start feeling other people's stuff. And that's where I think if you have the abilities too, you feel that and it feels awkward to you because you're feeling those walls going up. You're feeling those energies bouncing off of each other. So that kind of puts you in turmoil. And then Michelle says, I hear that from both of you. I blocked you, Mary Lynn, and you called me out. Yes, I did. You
Okay.
put that because as soon as I looked at her, that wall went up, and I'm like,
And that's a great question. That's a great thing. So, like, you are psychic in a way that is all encompassing, right? Like you actually you're multifaceted.
yes,
my wife, she's always had some psychic abilities, and hers are very specific. And I don't claim that I'm not psychic. I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna I don't see ghosts. I don't talk to dead people. I
not
don't.
yet.
Yeah, right. But I do have intuition, right? And my intuition is like a great example is when I first meet somebody, I can decide right away whether or not they are good for me or bad for me.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for my entire life, and I have never once been wrong. Never once have I been wrong. Now I've had people convince me that, now you're just, trust me, they're great. You're going to love this person. 6 months down the road, it turns out they're a piece of POS. Okay. So I have
Your first
never,
initial thoughts come out.
yeah,
Yep.
I have
They
never been
show it.
wrong. So
Yep.
I do think so. And that tells me that there's a lot of facets, and there's a lot of I guess there's a lot of room for growth and development in being a psychic.
Always.
And I think when you say, yeah, hey, I'm psychic, I think that is a very generalist term now.
Yep.
I think there's so much more to it. And same thing with witches and curses and hexes, right? And voodoo too. I mean, I assume like somebody that does voodoo, it could be so multifaceted to what they do that I think maybe everybody just thinks they have, chicken bones in their pockets and that's just how it is, right? But I bet you there's a lot more to it that we don't see that's behind that.
Absolutely. And that's like even being a psychic, and it's just people think just because I'm looking at you, I can read your mind. I'm sorry, that's not what we do.
Right.
But it's funny, but it's just the concept, the preconception of what people think, even of witches, how bad, and it's just they lump you in just because you're an empath or you have intuition or you have some kind of an ability, they automatically lump you in as a witch
And how
or
many
a
people
warlock.
do you tell? And how many people do you go and you say, "Hey, I'm a psychic," and they go, "Okay,"
Oh, all the time.
right? And they go, "All right." And unfortunately, it's probably the same for somebody that's a witch. And they go, "Yeah,
Yes.
I'm a witch," and they go, "All right, yeah."
Well, that's where we don't normally, for me, I
You don't
don't
go out there,
advertise it,
right?
unless there's something that comes up that brings it out. Other people have pointed it out, and then literally, like I said, people will look and turn away from me. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I don't have to see your eyes to read you.
Right. Well, I
So,
feel like you could literally have a wrapped, uncured roll of salami and slap them in the face with it, and they'll go, "What did you slap me with?" And you'll say salami, and they'll go, "Yeah, right."
right.
Because they're just people tend to naturally be skeptical,
Yes.
right?
Well, and that's also a taught, and that's like Michelle. I'm going to read her thing. She says,
Right.
I've struggled with teachings that I've heard from some psychics who claim everyone has abilities and they just need to work on what they want to develop. I think some people have some gifts that others don't, and not everyone does, but that's my experiences. And I agree. Not everybody has psychic abilities, but everybody to me has intuition. You get those feelings, but a lot of people just ignore those gut feelings, but you do have intuition, but not everybody's a psychic. That's totally different.
I'm going to be right back. Continue talking to Michelle. Give me uno momento.
Okay. So, Michelle, I would like to know just to dig a little bit more deeper in. So, whenever you were teaching, what were they teaching you? Was it Wiccan? Was it what kind of craft were they actually teaching you? So, but I know for you, it's also just kind of growing your abilities and being more confident in what you have and being able to read what you're seeing. Oops. And then I know that it's kind of hard to not have Mike here, not just to keep talking. So, because he's the one that talks a lot. So, but for me, it's
Okay.
I I am not good at just filling the silence.
All right. I had my wee water. All
So I
right.
was asking Michelle what kind of, when her teachings, what kind of teaching she was learning when she was learning that.
Oh, I can answer that. 1, 2, 3, Krakens. Ah, ah, ah.
And she says, funny enough, I've been guided to start understanding that I have some lower realm work I'm geared towards. So I would like to, if you can kind of expand on the lower realm work,
That could mean
what
OnlyFans.
that means. Because, like, for me, I understand it, but Mike, would you understand what that means?
If you still, I would think that would mean you've got to open an OnlyFans account.
Right?
I mean, I have no idea, right? Yeah.
Right. So, and that's where this show for us is just kind of a learning for everybody. We come on, we're just talking about, and like I said, we don't know everything 100%. We are
No,
learning every day. And for me,
it's about
that's something,
even a discussion.
yes.
Discuss people.
Yep.
So, but the witchcraft for my family was hidden apparently and only discovered through me working with a spiritual healer. That's interesting. And see, this is where basically you spent a lot of time in the places people don't want to be in. I kind of attribute it perhaps a realm some folks would see as dark or like demons.
So
Or
for
yeah,
me, kind of shadow work. That's kind of what I look at that as, is a shadow work and just finding it, you may be something totally different. So that's where all the different terminologies from the different people, they look at it in a different way. Mine's very basic.
so what's really interesting about that is I think now we're kind of getting into this realm of are there planar levels, right? Is there an ethereal plane? Is there an astral plane? Is there an elemental plane? Is there a hellish plane? Is there a heavenly plane? These are, which mean now all of a sudden we go from just living our life like this to
Right.
this, right? That's pretty wild if you really think about it. And that's one of those things where I would love a witch's point of view on how does being a witch, does being a voodoo priest, does that change your perception on the world?
For me, I think it probably does change perceptions, but in the end, they all have, it's kind of like it's kind of like the religions. They all have their own set of beliefs,
Yeah.
but in the end, it's God. So but they just get there in a different way. So I think that to me is the different religions. And even in witchcraft, you're going to have the light, you're going to have the dark. People who work more on the light side, for me, I like working in the light, but I know that there's a dark side, so I'm not afraid to go in and experience and look into that dark side, because I need to be able to protect myself from the white side, with the white light against that dark. So you have to be aware of that.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, I think for anybody that is interested in following that path, I think it's important to, I guess, ground yourself safely.
Yes.
Right? Always step with precaution. I mean, I would assume it's no different than learning how to drive. I mean, in that regard, take the
Pretty
test.
much. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
because when you have all the traffic going, you're not going to just pull straight out into it.
learn what's
You know,
gonna fuck you up, bro.
right? And
Yeah.
that's where people getting into learning the different things and being spiritual, being in, paranormal. They're just wanting to jump in and learn all of these different techniques. And I always say, learn one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Because if you're learning more than that, sometimes you can go and you can learn it, but you're not being as efficient. You're not learning it in as much detail as you could. So become proficient in what you're learning and then move on to the next one. And then Michelle says, let me see if I can show the comment. I don't know if it'll show the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Says, I'm still learning and sometimes get a little nervous stepping deeper. I got asked to explore candle magic and found that I know how to do it, even though I didn't, since I've never actually done it.
Well, you just put the candle in your butt, right? I don't know. I've never done it.
So I've actually done candle magic, but not in the butthole.
Okay.
And I've also done, I do crystals.
Well,
Do what?
Well, then you didn't do it right, obviously.
Well, I did it right for me,
Okay.
but you may need the magic of the butthole. So,
Great. So what is candle magic? I think that's a great.
so it's rituals. It's using candles to be able to manifest what you're wanting. You can use them for protections. You can use pretty much
Do you know where
anything.
it's derived from? I mean, is that like a witch type of ritual? Is that a voodoo type ritual? Is that is that something that's Celtic? I mean, are we?
I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look up, where did candle magic
come from?
And
if it says Michael's, I'm out.
first mentioned in biblical times as early as the 10th century BCE. These early candles were made of wicks stuck into containers filled with flammable material. The first dipped candles were made by Romans from rendered animal fat and called tallow.
Yep. So tallow, and so they're saying so if that's the case, so it's essentially Roman.
Yeah, it's ancient Egyptians.
Oh, there you go. And those that may or may not know anything about history, the Egyptians and the Romans were very heavily intertwined.
Yes.
Yes, which is pretty wild, and that's pretty cool. Interesting. Okay.
Love Google. Be able to look up pretty much anything.
We're learning.
That's what it's all about. Isn't it something potentially universal in multiple practices? For candles, I think so.
I mean, I'm sure they all have some version of it, but I wanted to know. Somebody had to get the idea first, right? So now we kind of have an idea. So if it's yep, and if it is, it sounds like the Egyptians were the first to attempt this, and obviously they must have found some type of success with it because, I mean, from 10th century BC to now, and it's still widely practiced to a degree.
And Michelle said, I had a very heavy attachment to Egyptian mythology growing up. So that usually means past life. If you have those kind of attachments, it's something that you've been through in a past life.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep. And then, but the little thing that I sent to you, Mike, was also sealed in wax.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So that's where I did my candle ritual and sealed it for you.
That's cool. Okay.
So it's all in the intent that if you really believe, you can make it manifest, you can make it happen. I've given people a pencil and said, I've charged this. This is protected. Hold this. You're going to be okay. They will stand there and hold it, and they said that they can feel the tingling. So it's all in the intention of what you're using and what you're doing. You can use anything to put those energies into.
Interesting.
It's the way I see it anyway.
That's pretty cool.
So you also have the hereditary witch. Just like it sounds, hereditary witch is someone who inherited their powers of their practice through their family lineage. And that, think Practical Magic, like the movie. And that's usually, most of the time, I think Michelle was talking about, she just found out because her family really didn't know about the witches in the family. That's because they didn't really label themselves as witches. And it's something that most of the time they hide those abilities. My mother was able to do things. My grandmother on my father's side was able to do things, but they didn't announce it. They didn't tell anybody what they were doing. My mother taught me how to read tarot cards using regular playing cards. So it's just the different tools that you can use. So it's something that most of the time it is hereditary. My daughter has it. My son has it. So I always think that's pretty cool.
And this is something like you can't, once you have it, you can't get rid of it, like herpes.
True.
Yeah.
But you can medication for it. The medication is being able to do your protections. If you choose not to acknowledge it, and says Mary Lynn, how do you feel towards spells and practices that affect others in a negative way? I try not to do any spell work towards any person, but instead do spell work for myself, dissolving negative energy, bringing myself prosperity, etc. So I always say if you do something negative to somebody else, it's going to come back to you. If I have somebody, say for instance, that I worked with somebody that we just did not get along, I put a positive spin on it. This person should get a better job to be able to move on and live their life happily. They got a better job and moved on. But now if you tell them, I want them to lose their job, that's negative. That's making it where they're losing their livelihood. Yeah. That to me is a no-no. That's something you're working in the dark whenever you're doing that. Always put a spin on it that the way it's going to affect them is positive.
Okay.
That's how I see it.
So you both benefit.
Yes.
Okay. I get that.
And
I
I
get
hope
that.
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yep. And I've been under spiritual attacks. That's why I ask. Okay,
Well,
so
you're on
on.
top of them, so you're not under.
So have you are you aware of who is attacking you or who's sending that to you? So the one thing I do sexually attacking you, if you turn around and send that back to them, it's only going to amplify it even more and it keeps coming back to you. So what I do is those energies that are coming to me, I send it to the universe. The universe will take care of it and karma will take care of them. It's out of my hands. I'm not going to put that out there for anything bad to happen to them, but let the universe take care of it. To me, that's the best way to do it.
This makes sense to me.
Yep. And yeah, I talk with my hands all the time.
I'm Italian, so.
Right. I'm not.
No.
So the next one, do what?
Flatums is watching. Flatums
Ah.
is saying, what up for you?
So the next one I have is a crystal witch. Crystal witches are deeply connected to the vibration and power of crystals, gems, rocks, stones, and they practice crystal magic to manifest, amplify, and attract energy. If you see auras, feel energies, love shiny things, and enjoy making grids, then you could be a spiritual witch. I'm a spiritual witch because I have all kinds of crystals. I work with crystals whenever I'm doing my chakra balancing. I carry crystals around with me, have them everywhere.
So is it like, so is that basically, oh, and Danette says, yes, that makes perfect sense. So does that mean it's just like, it's like a witch, but you use like focuses, I guess?
What do you mean focuses?
Well, I mean, are the crystals seen as like a focal point, like a focus for your intentions or your magic?
Yes. Yeah. So anytime you're using that, you're putting those energies. So for me, I can pick up a crystal and I can feel it vibrating and I can tell you which ones are real crystals or which one is made, synthetic.
Or a
And
crystal.
exactly. But the crystals for me give energies and it's something that I use those to help align people and just help to balance those energies. And you can also set intentions with it. You can also use them as protections. I put them around my house as a protection grid. So that way it's something that, because each crystal has something different. So for me, it's like if you use a clear crystal quartz, for me, that is the kind of like a master crystal along with the purple amethyst. Those are spiritual, it's protection, it's balancing, it's pretty much everything that you can need in those two crystals. I have a whole thing. It's like a little fishing box that has the drawers, all kinds of different crystals. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Have
And
you ever
then
gone like looking for crystals like naturally, like on your own, like walking around?
I wanted to. Kim and I were going to do that whenever I was with her in South Dakota, but we never got a chance to.
We should
But
do that. That would be
yes,
fun.
I want to do that. We need to find a place that has them in the raw. If you can do the raw crystals, those are even stronger. They're more natural.
Nice. Just like raw drugs.
Pretty much. But I wouldn't know that.
No, me neither. She wants to use tarot.
The tarot?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Michelle commented that the crystals they pick you, they pick her. Yes, they do. For me also, pick them up, and I can get the tingling sensation. It'll tell me which one I'm supposed to have.
So This is a really interesting segue. So I went to Phil was with me. We went to what the hell's that lady? The Psychic Eye, or not Psychic Eye? Debbie does psychics? No, something like that.
Well, the Psychic Eye, they're in Vegas.
Not
They
Psychic
have like
somebody something CC's psychic CC's.
Okay, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the name of it.
Yeah. So we go in there and I buy a couple of things and they're like, yeah, we got this pyramid with the sound. You go inside and it charges it.
Mhm.
And the sound just, it made me want to vomit.
Yep.
I could not take it. And my wife yesterday, she had put on chakra cleansing music, which is like just like a sound, and it makes me want to punch babies.
So that means your chakras are out of balance.
I just can't take it. I
Yeah.
can't take it.
It's the sound, the vibration, because you can literally feel it in your body. That's what that music is for, because I have it at the megahertz. I can't remember exactly what it is.
Yeah, it mega
Nine
hurts.
it megahertz. But yes, Michelle, you asked, do I do tarot? Yes, I do read tarot as well.
Oh,
But
so Michelle, that says Michelle is her sister who is in Ohio still, that is part of a coven. So
oh, okay.
that's great. So she's in here, and if you're willing to answer some questions, I'd love to ask a few. I obviously don't want to overstep any boundaries or get anybody in trouble, but if you're interested in answering some questions, let's talk a little bit about what it is that you do and how it works. I'd love to know.
Right.
So yeah, the singing bowl octaves can cause that depending on the octave. It I felt like my head was gonna explode. It was the worst.
So how long were you in there?
Maybe a second.
Okay.
I couldn't take any more. And the lady was like, "You're done?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good."
So we need to find out what megahertz would that doesn't hurt you
Yeah.
to see, what you can actually tolerate. There's a lot of times I'll be working and I'll turn my TV on and I'll do it with the sound, but then I felt like my heart was just racing and it was like it's making me anxiety. So it's like, okay, I can't listen to it while I'm working.
CCC's your guiding light. That's the name of it. And that's the other thing. Like, so
Yep.
we were talking about sleeping with the TV on, and I
Yes,
mentioned I can't, but it's not. It's because the actual TV makes a sound.
it does. It hums.
And that is like, it's deafening to me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's why I can't sleep with the TV on, because that's all I hear.
Okay. So for me, I usually sleep with the TV on, but it's down low to where I can hear it. But it also, for me, that blocks out when they're trying to communicate with me, because a lot of times, whenever I'm sleeping, the spirits try to communicate and they'll come to me, and all I hear is voices talking to me, and
Interesting.
that wakes me up. So for the TV, it's where I listen to Harry Potter every night, and it's something because I know if I wake up, I concentrate on that and then I can go right back to sleep because I know what they're saying.
So that's interesting. And Michelle just said she's a hereditary witch who
Yes.
also belongs to a coven. So this is really interesting, because you're basically coming from two different points of being a witch. Do you find it easier to be a part of a coven? I mean, do you find that to be the I mean, after being part of a coven, could you ever see yourself as a
Solitary.
solitary witch? Well, that's what I mean, because I would feel like being part of a coven would increase your abilities.
Mhm.
Um, I mean,
Well,
but
and
would
you
it
get
also
those
be
connections with people and it's almost like family. And then
yeah,
say you've pulled yourself away and you're no longer a part of that coven because something's happened. I would see that as you've lost that connection and you can feel lost. And there's something that you don't have that support, you don't have the people that you can talk to. That's the way I would see it. Michelle, is that something that you would agree with? We need to have Michelle come on the show.
yeah, we should probably have you on, like have you on, so people
Yeah.
can see you and hear you and talk to you. We should probably set that up. Um, so I do find the sound of rainfall to be
Soothing.
super soothing.
Yes.
Thunder, lightning, very
Love
soothing.
it. Yep.
Yeah,
I can sleep right through it. I love the rainstorm. That's why here in Texas, just having the thunderstorm, love it. I
yep.
would sleep outside if I could.
So
And
you
she's
could do. it.
Michelle says, "Yes, I can both with or without the Kevin." And then she also energies can build off of each other. I'm solitary because I'd probably struggle with a disconnect. Yes.
And that's Michelle Coley. Yeah.
Yep.
And then Michelle Miller says, yes, I can with or without the covenant.
Yep.
That's cool.
And then the next one I see is a cosmic witch, the stargazers. Cosmic witches are all about astrology and astronomy, and they are largely focused on the lunar energies of the moon cycle and spells that amplify or protect against celestial events. They are clued up on star signs and birth charts, but their practice is active, not passive. They seek to change energies by using their knowledge rather than just telling you that Scorpios are secretive. If you feel drawn to the skies above and enjoy the science-y complexities of working in the universe, you could be a cosmic witch.
That's kind of cool.
And see, that's a little bit, I have a little bit of that because I do astrology, I do birth charts, so
yeah. Well,
so let's just say a little bit of everything. So
I feel like, and I think Michelle Miller can also probably verify this, there is a lot of crossover between the different typecasts of witches.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't fully integrate, but they do definitely touch. I would definitely say I feel like there's a lot of just Passover or crossover.
I think so. But that's again with any religion or spirituality or beliefs, you have those crossovers and you just get to it in a different way. But in the end, you get to pretty much the same path.
That's true. Ostrich and an emu both walk around on two legs.
Right.
You know? Both are
and
birds.
Now we go to the green witch. The magical workers are all about nature, healing, and nurturing. They draw their power, tools, and rituals from the earth and the great outdoors and use plant, flowers, and herbal preparations as a primary source of spell ingredients and ritual content. Green witches respect nature above all else, although many other types of witches work with nature too. If you feel drawn to the natural world, have a gift for healing and soothing, and enjoy gardening and tending to plants and herbs, you could be a green witch.
So a hippie.
A hippie, yep.
I'm definitely not a green witch. I can't keep anything alive.
I love plants. I work with herbs and all that as well.
Man, nope. My wife actually has a pretty good green thumb.
Yeah.
Me?
Well, your wife is also a witch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's also the hedge witch. A hedge witch is very similar to the green witch, but is not solely focused on nature. A hedge witch works alone and doesn't adhere to any strict dogma, religious, spiritual, or otherwise. Hedge witches develop their own kind of magic, focusing primarily on creating healing remedies and often working with the elements, nature, crafts, and herbalism. Everything is kept simple and basic, and all rituals are non-fussy and minimalistic. If you're drawn to the solitude and wish to craft your own brand of witchcraft, unique to you, then you might be a hedge witch. I think I found my calling. I may be a hedge witch.
A hedge witch?
Yep.
That's interesting. I mean, I've heard of a wedge salad.
Wedge salad.
But that's not the same.
Not a wedge witch. It's a hedge.
Okay. My bad.
So Michelle says, my ex-husband's first wife revealed to me that she is a green witch. He married 2 witches and he hates this stuff.
That's Michelle Coley. And then Michelle Miller said, I work mostly with animals and everything nature, but work the moon a lot. Oh, that's really cool.
Yes. Yep. The moon has definitely a lot of energies that you can work with.
That's probably why Gru wanted to steal it in the Minions movie.
I didn't see that movie.
You haven't seen the Minions movies?
Mm-mm.
Despicable Me?
Nope.
Oh man, he's always trying to steal the moon.
Oh no. Nope, I haven't seen them. I'll have to. And then Charity says the hedge witch definitely resonates with her.
I think and I think that's really interesting too, because I feel like a hedge witch is probably something that maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years ago probably was not something that was relevant. I think probably back then there was a lot more, you have to, you're this, or this. But I feel like as globalization has happened and communities and resources have become more abundant, covens talking to other covens, witches talking to other witches, and information being readily available, that maybe a hedge witch is something that becomes more appealing because you go, hey, this is really kind of freeing to me. It makes sense to me. It lets me throw my own personality into this, where maybe
Right.
before I wouldn't have that choice, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of talking through my candle magic butthole, but
So I kind of look at it the other way on that. So what about the ones who went out into the prairie? Look at Little House on the Prairie. They're out there by themselves, not many people around. So what if that person is practicing, but there's no coven?
that's true.
So
Like, how do you
they have
learn
to learn to do their own thing.
So it could just be, it could also be that a disconnect. So essentially it
Yes.
could be a disconnect from globalization,
Right.
uh, and it could even be a a wanting to have that
Right.
disconnect, saying I want to figure out the mysteries of the universe on my own.
Right.
I want to follow my own whims, so to speak. That's interesting.
Well, and that's to where, like with me, I listen to other people's stuff and then I'll take pieces of that works for me. Or
Like
else, I'll
Reese's
come up
Pieces.
with something. Do what?
Like Reese's Pieces. I love those.
Pretty much, but I'll share.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So the next one we have is a plant witch. Like green witches, the plant witch works with plants. Their practice might focus on a connection with nature. They may study the history, traditions, and cultural associations of different plants and herbs, as well as use them in rituals, potions, and spells.
Okay, so to me, what I get from that is maybe somebody that, I wonder if that's somebody that would be a witch that would be more experimental with like poisons and
It could
oils,
be.
extractions.
Yes, I would say the extractions, maybe you're looking at on the poison side. They probably have those, but
Well,
those would be to me on the darker side.
yeah, it would be on the darker side. Well, not always, because some poisons do have healing properties if used
Healing,
right.
yeah, that's true. That
Bee
is true.
venom is a prime example of that. I've actually had bee venom injected into my shoulder.
Oh, wow.
Mhm. There's always a societal fear of the unknown that's caused a lot of people to be quiet for so long. What they may what 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 they may work with, or
They
even
may
cause
work
people
with
to
or
doubt.
even cause people to doubt their connection to witchcraft, yes.
Yeah, but I
So
feel like,
and that's like with kids. You see kids that are seeing things and, they have their imaginary friends. To me, most of those are probably spirits, and they are open to that, but because of the society, don't do that.
yeah,
They lose that ability. That's
I
like
think
my
it
mom.
always.
Yes, with me is like, don't talk about that to other people. So for years, I had to keep everything on the down low until I got older and was able to have my own conversations.
What else is interesting about that is I think when we're younger, we do live in an imaginative state, and
Yes.
as we get older, I think reality is forced upon you more frequently, and
Yes.
I think that eventually just overwhelms and takes over.
Yep. And
I,
you just the kids kind of push that away and they forget about it.
and people laugh at me because to this day I still play D&D. I love role playing because it helps me stay in an imaginative state, and it's helped me with everything. I mean, thinking, critical thinking, just being different, being faster, smarter, wittier. I mean, it's helped
Yep.
me problem solve. I mean, so Phil, I got Phil into role playing, and I mean, I don't know if he could testify to it helping him at all, but I think it really does help keep some of that imaginative process that you had when you were a kid.
Well, does it also allow you on the imagination part of it to be able to go into that world and let things go that's in the real world, and you're just
Oh,
playing in that imaginary world?
absolutely. I think it helps. I say I make it akin to acting, right?
Yep,
In a stage is set, a place is set, and you have this incredible opportunity to shape and create as you see fit,
yep,
based off of the parameters that you have given yourself. And it can be a beautiful thing that is wrought with both comedy, hilarious, the hilarious parts, dramatic parts, suspense. It can really lead you down some incredible philosophical, just modalities, that things that you wouldn't have thought of before, but all of a sudden you're hit with a situation. You go, wow, I've never experienced something like this before. I really need to think about how I would handle this, and then I
right,
need to think about how I would handle this with just a completely different characterization.
right.
I love that.
Well, and that's with me, as a writer, with my books, I'm able to create my own world, and there's no limitations.
Yeah.
And you set the limitations on yourself when you put that out there. It's something that you're able to just create your world and just run with it. And I've never played D&D, but I've always wanted to.
Oh, you'd love it. Krista says, my imaginary friend was my stepfather's wife who passed before my mom. My parents showed me her picture, and I was like, yeah, that's my friend. And then Michelle said, I had a parent tell a child that walked into our facility and told her mom she saw the ghost there and not to say that because it isn't real. Yeah,
Yep.
and that's that reality being forced, right?
Yep.
And then Charity says, and all the pressure to conform to normal that happens. I agree. And then Phil says, he totally agrees about,
Yep.
role playing. It's helped him a lot.
I
Fact.
feel.
And then Michelle Miller, she mentions she's a paranormal researcher, and she still plays D&D. And one of the
Nice.
reasons why we're talking about this, Michelle Miller, is, as a paranormal investigator, you begin this path by going, I'm going to go hunt for ghosts. And then all of a sudden, it grows. You learn, okay, well, there's elementals, there's demons, there's poltergeists, there's self-made psychoses, and now we're talking about hey, how can curses be involved? How can hexes be involved? How can
Yep.
voodoo be involved? All these things can go into an investigation before you even set foot in any type of home, house, location. It doesn't matter, a tomb. It doesn't matter what it is. A toilet. It doesn't matter. There's so much that can go into it before that step even begins.
Yes.
Right? There can be people trapped, and you think, oh, well, maybe they're trapped because they don't know they're dead. Maybe they're trapped because they don't know how. Maybe they just don't want to leave. But for all you know, they could be cursed. I mean, you don't know. You could be trying to help something that can't leave.
That they can't. Yes. So if someone cursed them that they have to walk that life for eternity.
And here you come in like a dummy. I can help you when you can't, right?
Right.
And that can be probably very infuriating to somebody that is been stuck there for ever, right? And that's pretty interesting. And then Charity says, you love embracing your weirdness now, which is good. You've met some beautiful people, true. And then, oh man, paranormal research, love it, love it. Almost more than any investigation, and you play D&D too. And I think that's great. I think that needs to, I really do think having that imaginative process is really important to a paranormal investigator, because they'll all tell you this. They all say this. They go, well, I'm a skeptic. No, you're not. If you are doing this, it is not that you're not there to find fault. You are there to find a journey.
Yes.
You are there. You are investigating because you truly believe that what you are doing is appealing and interesting to you, right? So you're not there to disprove. You're not there to be a jerk. Now, there are those.
There are some, yes.
There to disprove. There are those that are there to be a jerk, and some of them have TV shows. But there are also those that are there truly to just be a part of that experience and to
Yes.
be open to use their own imaginative process to see what they can uncover, right? And I think that's kind of the beauty of paranormal investigation, and how it can, and being a psychic and being a witch, and how those all can kind of play together.
Well, and what I like is whenever you go into an investigation and you have that one skeptic that just is, just standing there like this the whole time, and
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden they get intrigued, and then things start happening, and then they're like, I cannot tell you how that happened. And it's something that kind of changes their perspective, even though
yeah,
they still say that they're a skeptic, but they couldn't explain it. And it's like, I kind of believe, but I'm not sure. Even with me being a psychic, as I'm going in, I'm going to be one of the first ones to, if I can debunk something, I'm going to debunk it, because not everything is paranormal.
right. It's true.
And that's to where the skeptics are. Well, you just think it's that because you heard a sound. Well, no, there's nothing here to make a sound.
Right. And here's and this is something else too, is, do you, if it is something that is, a curse or witchcraft, I mean, does that necessarily mean it has to be paranormal?
No.
Right. And I mean, so that's where doing, I guess, a due diligence to a location, where you're going, and
Yep.
Michelle just agreed with you. And then Phil says, "Yeah, that was him. Yeah, uh,
Yeah.
Phil and Deadwood." I mean, and this is the thing. Sometimes it can hit you hard,
Yeah.
and it may be something that you are just not mentally prepared for.
Right.
You go, okay, I was expecting something, but not all of this, and
Right.
it can be a lot to unpack,
It can
right?
be overwhelming.
Very, very overwhelming. And I think another thing that adds into this, and anybody that has had any type of run-in with ghosts and anything along those lines, I think your own spiritual energy
Yep.
really comes into play with what interacts with you, how they interact with you, how and what can be done to you in general. You know what I mean? Because I think some people maybe just are naturally more, I guess, prepared, armored.
Right. Yep.
Some people are more naturally just going to pull things in,
Yeah.
based off of just your personality or your own beingness, I guess.
So you kind of touched on it, is when you go in there is like, what's going on with you. So as an example, I have this favorite author that I love her books. And I read every one of them. Her new one came out, could not wait to read it. So I sit down and I start reading it, and all of a sudden it's like, what happened? This is not the same. It's not the same storyline. It's not. His first chapter, I closed the book and put it away.
Wow.
Went on about my life, and then probably a year and a half, 2 years later, I saw the book. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try. So I went back and started reading it again. It was right back to where she's my favorite author. Love the book.
Interesting.
I realized whenever I picked that book up, I was in a bad mood. I was trying to escape. It's my mentality of whenever I went into it, my expectations were too much going into the book.
Yeah.
So when you're going into those investigations, your expectations, your attitude, whatever's happening with you, the energy that you bring with you can affect what you do during your paranormal investigation. It can affect the energies around you. It can affect the spirits. It can affect the other people.
It's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Michelle Miller said she feels, sees, and hears spirits as well, but doesn't believe she's psychic though. I mean, I think we've talked about this a little bit. I think everybody kind of has this. Everybody's going to have a connection, but everybody's connection could come a different path,
So
right?
psychic and medium, two different things. Psychic is where you're reading and you're able to talk about the stuff, but if you're feeling, you're seeing, and you can talk to, that's mediumship. So there
So
are
medium is right
different
in
levels.
between. That's right in between the small and large.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Yep.
good. Okay. Well,
So you have the different
I'm even
So,
the next.
Michelle, I would say you're more of a medium. If you don't do readings and you don't read other people and do that, you're more on the medium side instead of the psychic.
However, we were talking in Starbucks term, you would be a grande.
That was true.
Yeah. Pretty interesting. Okay, that's pretty good. We've managed to kill an hour. Does anybody have any last questions?
Well, we have a whole bunch more. We can actually pick up where we left off on the next show if you want.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. Oh, you do
Yep.
read people as well.
You do read people as well. If you're reading, then you're a psychic.
Yeah, that does. I would say that fits in. Your hairdresser was the first person to say to me, "You're my psychic client. You told me things that no one could know." That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, you are a psychic, even if you're not claiming it. You will soon enough. And honestly, I didn't really label myself as a psychic until probably about 15 years ago.
And for those of you who are with us now, please find us on, if you have a TikTok, find us on TikTok. We're at sidekicks.paranormal, and we tend to go live just about every day. And we use dowsing rods, and we do some psychic readings, and we just kind of continue conversations like this, have fun. It's really about having fun, and we try to do that a little bit every day. And we do have subscriptions that are available on there now. So you could take a look at that. Yes, our TikTok is tons of fun. So definitely check it out. We appreciate all of you guys coming in and following
And we
us.
do have merch.
Yeah. And we will have that will be launched on our TikTok store. Probably when I get down to your place, I'll get some photos and then we'll just kind of generate everything when I get down there.
Okay.
So, figure that'll all be available pretty much like the 1st of February. Just in time for Valentine's Day, and you can give your loved one Screamy the psychic goat. Who wouldn't want that?
My psychic goat. I don't know where my goat went. Oh, here he is.
Thank you, Screamy. All right, with that, we will sign off.
Play our exit.
Yes.
So thank you guys. Love it. Bye, y'all.